There was a good 10 minutes of silence in the car as the both of them upon what the heck was going on inside the mansion. When Jungguk couldn't take it anymore, he turned toward Tae. What the hell are you thinking about stepping between them? His voice was so sharp it could be used as a blade. They ducked his head and stared at his trembling hand. They didn't mind his anger, and there were so many questions running in his mind. They wanted to slip into the darkness to accept the reality of the world. I don't understand you, Taeyoung, he snapped, and turned his head away from him. They turned toward the window and rested his head against the glass. They didn't understand himself either. I don't accept you, do, they mumbled. A tear were trailing down his cheeks in confusion. Don't test my patience, they. Only for a drop of it, he growled, and they clenched his teeth together. They remained silent after that, and just they needed his comfort. At the same time, some distance, his emotions were all over the place, and they feared that his thoughts were going to be a proof right. They were sure of it, just not the time when it all were revealed. 15 minutes later, Jungguk, without any mask, of their house and took their place behind the wheel. No one said anything as they started the car and drove their destination. They know Jungguk wanted to be anywhere but near any of them. When the car was stopped in front of their parents' mansion, they got out and made his way inside. Jungguk followed suit, and Jungguk are the last one to follow them. As soon as they reached in the lounge, everyone gasped, and the next moment they was in his mother's embrace. His hand hanged beside him as Yamin cried and showed his face with kisses. They didn't bother to return their affection and just stood there. Oh, thank Almighty, you're all right, she cried, and cupped their face and kissed on his forehead. Taeyoung heart jolt as he looked at his father, who looked worried out of his mind. He had never shown some strong emotion, and when he stepped toward him to take him in his arm, they stepped back and ducked his head. They heard the sharp breath, but didn't pay any need of it. It was them. They didn't look at him but his mother. A single question would roam around his mind, and he wanted to get it off. Am I son of Alex? They voiced the question. Yamin's eyes were winded, and she let out a loud sob. At the same time, they called his name, whereas his father remained silent. Oh, of course not. What had that man done to you? She cupped their face in his hand and looked at his. You don't have his blood in your veins. He's getting in your head. She kissed his forehead, amusing joyful day, and he noted at his mother. His mother couldn't lie straight through his seat, without guilt in his eyes, straight dead in his own eyes. She was telling the truth. By the motion, they stepped back and walked toward the staircase, making their way toward his house. Once they inside the room, he switched off the light, climbing the planks. Get under the cover. They just wanted to sleep and sleep. And he did. What happened to him? Yamin asked Jungguk once, and he was gone too suddenly. He slightly and closed his eyes, feeling his anger turned toward the stupid and idiot decision of his brother. He's all right. Just, he told her. Did he hurt him? Taeyoung asked through clenching teeth. No, he had been brainwashing him, but didn't hurt him. We'll be alright and just need some time. I should go and check up on him. He didn't wait for anyone's answer and walked upstairs to Taeyoung's room. He opened the door and found the room was dark. As always, Jungguk went toward the bed and found him asleep. They looked so peaceful, and he knew it had to do with his mother's answer. Night, my love. He bent down and kissed his cheeks before walking out of the room. Now he needed to knock some sense into his brother. He checked the door and shut off their room, walking outside. I must leave. I will be back in the morning, he informed Mr. Kim and noted, still upset at his son's actions. Of course. Good night. Yamin looked relieved that they was back, and Jungguk knew they needed some time with his family. It was the winter break, so he didn't have any stress of university. Good night, he nodded and walked out of the room. He spotted, and Jungguk waited by the car with his hand inside his pocket and whistling happily. Feeling sudden anger, Jungguk stood toward him, grabbed his collar, and leaned his fist on his jaw. Jungguk hissed as he tasted his blood in his mouth. They woke after a peace nap of an hour. He had been able to nap for the past 4 days, and now when he did, he didn't want to get up for the bed. Removing the cover for his face, he yawned and rubbed his eyes like a little kitten. They started going through the horrified affairs for the last few days. Thank God he went out of this place. Last night they had been too tired to argue or cast any questions or even go to depth of that thinking. But now, when he was awake and tiredness had faded, he couldn't help but actually about things what had happened. They were still not sure. They rushed a hand down to his face and switched on the light in his room. The room was, and after a few minutes there was a knock on the door. A sign and hummed, telling the person that he was awake. Jungguk entered and closed the door behind him. They sat straight in the bed upon seeing him and glanced at the clock on the wall in front of him. Wait, it was 5 in the morning. So what was he doing here? They looked at him in disbelief and formed. He looked so tired. Hi, he murmured, and Jungguk sat down beside him, ran his finger through his hair. They leaned forward and placed his hand on his shoulder, gently squeezing it. Are you okay? They asked, adding, had he not gone home? Yeah, just tired. Even his voice sounded so tired. How did you get in? Nobody up at this hour. Leon was awake, he suggested. Why, didn't you sleep? They asked, and Jungguk breathed heavily and shook his head at him. Come on, you can sleep here. We have plenty of time, they urged, tugging on his arm. He didn't protest too, and turned to him. Are you worried about something? They asked, running his finger on his forehead and giving order to move away. Jungguk closed his eyes, feeling, and rested his head on his lap. They subconsciously rubbed his finger over his scalp. Yes, he nodded, and they were surprised that he didn't deny it. Usually, he kept his word for him away because he didn't want to worry him. What happened? They asked softly, and Jungguk just nuzzled his face on the warmth, covering that on Jungguk's laps. When he didn't answer, he decided to not push him too far. You should rest here, he said, including that he wanted to get out of the bed and make space. Jungguk tired open eyes slowly, and he lifted his head, not protesting thankfully. They slipped out of his bed and removed the shoes before putting his feet under and they covered him. He already seems to be asleep. Struggling in the cover, they turned his back and faced the blanket with his head. Oh my! Jungguk's breathing had already turned even as he slept peacefully, like he had no care in the world. The young eyebrows geared together in worry as he ran his finger over the cards, his hand twisted, as if he was in pain, making the worry even more. Did he hurt someone? What if he went back to Alex and... Oh no! He being asleep, the worry won over his affection.